There we go. Everyone, I am the Red Baron at Baroncast. With me is Dan Din at Epic Gamer on Twitter. We do have the game ready to go, so we will have this game coming any second now. Lobby's coming in. But yeah, so finally we're coming. I'm kind of curious what bans and picks we'll see, and should be a pretty exciting match. I'm definitely... Oh, well,
We got an error.
we'll have to see whether or not it goes through. I think it'll be okay.
It should be fine.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I don't need to be picking the champs anyway. But we do start off Mono Esports banning Shyvana, recognizing that is one of Darian's favorite champions. They kind of brought Shyvana into the scene, with their play at IEM Kiev. That was really kind of the initiation for Shyvana to come out, and then M5 banning out Rammus, who again is one of those really aggressive early game champions.
Yeah.
Can help your team snowball very well from those early ganks.
The thing with Rammus is he ganks really well early game, and even if he falls behind in farm, he's still a really, really strong tank, just hitting his W, he's already getting like 2,000 gold worth of items. So,
and there's actually the Kennen ban from Mono, so recognizing that they do have that really strong bot lane, Kennen very easily wins the lane, or at the very least can just farm against really anyone. Very hard to harass. And then, in the team fights, doesn't really matter as much for the positioning, as other DPS champions. Of course, you don't want to get too close, but then, of course, can disengage with the ultimate, pick up some kills easily. And then Skarner, again, another aggressive jungler, don't want to allow Mono Esports that early snowballing team.
like, the way I feel with the bans right now is M5 wants to run a really, really tanky bruiser team because just... right off the bat, they banned Rammus and Skarner, right? Rammus excels really, really good against melee teams and just ADs in general. So, and same with Skarner. Skarner excels really, really well against melees and ADs. So, you don't want to run into a Skarner with his Q just proccing every seconds, and you don't want to run into a Rammus with his shield up and his R running. And once again, you don't want to run into a Karthus with just a lot of AoE damage as a lot of like short range bruisers. So just based off of bans, I feel like M5 wants to run like a bruiser type composition.
Yeah, the AoE from Karthus plus the wall to slow them down as they're coming in allows your team to kite. That is very strong, but Mono Esports would be able to get Cassiopeia. I am a little bit confused. We are running on the tournament realm. This hasn't been patched yet, so this is pre-patch Shen.
Is this pre-patch Shen, or is it this patch Shen?
Unless they just changed the patch. I don't believe they've changed this patch. Nautilus.
It would be nice to know.
Nautilus is on here, so I guess they just updated Tournament Realm this past 2 days. So they did just change, just update the Tournament Realm. I know Thursday the Tournament Realm wasn't on, the new patch. So actually Shen is going to be a very strong pick, and they could still go with Cassiopeia, and then Ryze and Lee Sin for M5.
So, like, already right off the bat, they have really, really tanky DPS champions. Lee Sin being tanky DPS, and Ryze as a tanky DPS caster. So,
we did have the Sona ban, though, which is interesting. I don't know that I've really seen M5 play a lot of Sona. She is just strong in any general comp, even though she was nerfed. But Janna, Shen, and then Graves, actually... just holding on to that Cassiopeia, they already have Ryze, so that's not really that big of a concern. And also, I guess they can wait to see what exactly M5's trying to run.
yeah.
But it should be interesting. Lee Sin versus Shen top lane. Shen can sustain almost anyone. He has excellent poke. He doesn't have to worry about the energy. Have you tried that lane before, or do you,
I actually
feel like
haven't
it's
tried
even.
the lane, but just like right off the top of my head, I feel like Shen would win against Lee Sin. And like just that exact same team comp that I was thinking that M5 is going to run would be like something like Ryze, Lee Sin, Nunu. And it's just all coming in. Just all three of those champions are really, really tanky. And they're going to have a cog in the back just poking. So if they have a really, really strong front line, I feel, it's going to be really hard for Mono to get back there. And there's that Cassiopeia pick.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. M5, they do have the counter pick. We have Irelia, actually. So Shen is probably going to be jungling which is pretty interesting for Mono. I'm kind of curious whether or not Lee Sin is going to jungle or be top lane, because if he's jungling, then they could potentially grab Galio and continue with that kind of tanky team,
I
and then it
feel
would
like Lee
work with
Sin will
New a
be
little
the
bit.
jungler,
Yeah.
just because, you see the Nunu there, and he's gonna have the smite, and it feels like they're just gonna completely swap, right? You have the
Right.
clairvoyance and the
Oh,
exhaust
yeah,
and the
there you go.
smite and flash. So at this point, it feels pretty clear to me that they're gonna jungle Lee Sin, but of course, they can still change at any moment. They still have a lot of options. You don't really want to lane Lee Sin versus Rumble top anyways,
Right.
and so they at this point, even if they intended for Lee Sin to be top, it would be a wiser choice for them to just switch it to the jungle and pick a different top lane versus Rumble.
Do you think that there's any potential that M5 maybe sends Galio mid and then Ryze top? Since Ryze would do very well against Rumble, Galio should be able to sustain against Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia, of course, will
Uh-huh.
have the advantage in that lane.
I feel
Um,
like Ryze should be able to lane against Cassiopeia.
yeah,
He,
well,
he
yeah, of
definitely
course you
won't
can.
be pushed out completely, especially if both people have blue. A blue Rise at level 6 is going to have a lot of sustain and some clear too. Cassiopeia with blue at level 6 is going to be really, really pushy. So just depending on how it goes, I feel like they want Rise mid anyways, just because with Rise and Lee Sin, the gank is just really, really strong.
And Riven anyway is actually will do very well against Rumble, particularly those early levels when
Uh-huh.
Rumble is weak. The only concern is once Rumble gets going, of course, he's pretty strong. But both of those champions are very,
Uh-huh.
strong snowball champions in that top lane. The only concern is, I guess, really where the jungle pressure is coming in.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure, how Shen has done as a jungler. I know he does have a much increased, speed and presence in the
Yeah.
jungle, but I would still think that Lee Sin has a significant advantage there.
Like the way I feel about the matchup is this, okay? So, Riven has a really, really good gap closer. So, he's going to be able to close that distance to Rumble and allow Lee Sin to safeguard onto him. Usually, as Lee Sin ganking top, you need to wait until the other champion on the other team closes the distance on a creep before you safeguard into it. He doesn't necessarily have to wait for that, since there is a Riven and he can close the gap onto Rumble and stun him already. And
Right.
so Lee Sin can safeguard onto that and cripple him and lands a free kill. Not kill, a Q. Because landing your resonating strike on a stun target is pretty easy. So I feel like Lee Sin Riven top has really, really high kill potential. So it's going to come down to the type of matchup where Riven is going to beat out Rumble. He can probably beat out Rumble earlier levels. And if he gets farmed enough, he should be able to give Rumble. Because the type of champion Riven is he is very, very, very bursty. And Rumble builds lifesteal, so he's not really tanky. He's just more of a sustained type of champion. So anytime a champion rushes like a Will of Ancients, you're not going to have a lot of HP. And when Riven jumps on you, she's going to do successive damage where you're not going to have time to heal back up. So if Riven can get to the point where he can just completely burst down Rumble's going to be in trouble. If Rumble can get to the point where Riven can't burst him down and he can continually life leech, Riven, on the other hand, is going to have a harder time. So it's depending on how the matchup plays out, one team is going to snowball. If they drag out team fights long enough, they're going to have the sustain to re-engage at full hit point, whereas M5 is going to have to depend on their lifesteal. Riven's probably going to go BT, so she's going to have a fair amount of lifesteal. Lee Sin has built-in lifesteal. Same with Ryze, so it's just going to be a lot of spell steal and lifesteal in general this game. And so who's ever got more poke and who can top off easier is going to definitely have an advantage in the team fight.
And the thing that's kind of interesting to me is Nunu's actually running an exhaust as opposed to like a flash. So, the exhaust will be a little bit more aggressive. It'll also provide more defensive capabilities in that bottom lane. But it also kind of seems to be indicative that they're trying to, be more of an objective-based team with their bruisers. Try and position your team so, once we're at our strength, we're not looking to engage a fight. We're looking to take objectives and force you to kind of engage on us. Since we don't have Nunu like flash ulting into the team potentially, it's more of like a kiting, a disengage mechanic.
I actually, in terms of global objectives, I feel like M5 had an advantage on Dragon, just because Lee Sin can do it so well relative to Shen. Lee Sin is the type of champion that can kill Shen on his own, and Shen can't quite do that. So Shen would have to wait a really, really long time to actually do Dragon, or he would need his team. So in terms of like Dragon position, I feel like M5 has an advantage in that aspect.
Hmm. Well, we actually have Lee Sin starting off at the red buff. They didn't get vision of him on Mono eSports, but I would assume they would generally expect that Lee Sin's going to be looking for that aggressive gank, particularly since Rumble is so weak early in this laning phase. You know, so that'll be something that Wild Turtle's going to have to be concerned about. Probably try and allow the lane to push into him. And, you know, we see Riven actually, you know, kind of sitting back a step, wants to make sure that he can allow that Darien can allow that lane to, you know, stay at the same position or even push back to his tower to allow for the easier gank.
He really wanted that creep, and then the other melee creep walked in front of it and blocked it. But yeah, definitely like with Wild Turtle, there's a lot of pressure on him, so that's why he's playing so passive. Generally, you see Rumble a lot more aggressive. You know, you run up, you try to flamethrow people and slow them and do some damage. Right now, what he doesn't want to do is he doesn't want to push the lane, because he knows that if he pushed the lane, Riven's going to be able to chunk him, and if Lee Sin is there, he's going to have to burn some summer spells and potentially just even die if he gets ganked.
And we do have Diamonds here trying to come on mid, recognizes Cassiopeia is pushing it early so that she can get out of lane and not have that concern from that Lee Sin gank, knowing that it's going to come in about now. But in the meantime, you know, bot is pushing for mono, so this is actually, you know, huge benefit for M5 because, you know, as long as they can keep the lane against their tower, then really they don't have to worry about Cog being harassed that much, or, you know, even Nunu, who doesn't have that flashing capability. Yeah. We actually have Nintendude coming up here and trying to counter jungle some, but he's definitely going to be out of position a little bit. He's going to get some good damage on the Lee Sin. Actually throwing off the snare, going to be chasing him down some. And he should be fine. There's no real collapse from the other lanes. And that's another thing. With the advantage that Mono has in this bot lane, you know, that will kind of make it difficult for, you know, M5 to kind of control this Dragon area, control their buffs and stuff, because Mono can just, you know, come up and collapse on them and potentially counter gank them in those situations.
Like, the thing with Mono is they have really, really strong push lanes. So if all lanes are pushed, you know, and they're relatively safe, you know, Lee Sin's gonna have to make a decision, right? So who do I gank? Every lane is push, and so it provides safety if everybody's pushing too. So I feel like since Cassiopeia is riding the tower on Ryze, if Ryze is gonna go in the jungle and actually like counter gank Shen, he's gonna lose a lot of creeps in the middle, because that's what happened earlier. When Shen walked in to attack Lee Sin at Wolves, Ryze really, really wanted to go, but he also really didn't want to lose out on the CS that's riding on his tower. So, you know, Mono's forcing M5 to make tough decisions right now. So it's really, really good for them.
And looking right now, all the lanes seem pretty even. We do have, you know, Darien putting off a lot of pressure onto Rumble, but, you know, that's naturally going to happen. Riven definitely a more aggressive champion early in this game. I don't know, both junglers trying to get off ganks probably won't have a lot of opportunities, though. I don't know, I guess in this both mid and top lane, we might see a little bit more aggression as people start hitting level 6. You know, once Rumble gets that ultimate to be able to chase down Riven, that's definitely, you know, going to be a concern.
Yeah, at this point in the game, I feel like for either team, if this game is going to be won, it's going to be Riven beating up Rumble bad enough top lane where he's going to be able to carry M5, and Cassiopeia beating up Ryze well enough mid lane where she's going to be able to carry. So depending on how the matchup goes, that's how I feel is going to win the game.
And Genja actually taking a lot of damage, but then throws off the exhaust from Gosu Pepper and going to just back out of there. And that's definitely to the advantage of nothing real. But as you said, you know, that's one of the advantages of taking an early, taking the lifesteal in the runes and masteries for DPS. If he had that, oh wow, Ryze actually picking up the kill onto Cassiopeia. Lee Sin is here, and he's trying to maybe get in on Chen.
That's interesting. I was wondering how Ryze killed Cassiopeia without a gank. It's just, that's unusual to me. It feels like he either did a really, really good job of just kiting and dodging all of Cassiopeia's spells. Because the thing with Cassiopeia, she has a lot of damage if she lands all her skills. And so my assumption is Ryze probably sidestepped the Q. Got Twin Fang, but there's no follow-up in damage. And as long as he doesn't walk into the pool, there's no follow-up in Twin Fang there either. So that's probably how he killed Cassiopeia.
Oh, and also if maybe he dodged the ultimate. I mean, that's the thing that I'm kind of wondering about because he is such short range and has to come in melee.
I don't think Cassiopeia had her ultimate
Okay.
when she died. She probably just Stink 6
Leveled up as she was dying.
I have no idea, but it appears to me that her ultimate is still up based on her summer spell.
And we actually have Lee Sin and Darien coming down here and counter jungling already, stealing that blue buff from Cassiopeia, and that's definitely going to hurt her out in this lane.
The thing is Cassiopeia was winning lane, and once she died, what happened was it took complete pressure out of...
Shen bottom going to engage on Genji here. He's taking a lot of damage. He will flash away, so they are going to be okay. But hiding in the little brush there.
So anyways, back to Mono losing blue. The thing with Cassiopeia dying is it took off a lot of pressure in blue side's own jungle because, you know, if Cassiopeia is dead mid, there's no way she's going to be able to come back to blue and take it. So M5 knew that, so they were able to just send Riven and Lee Sin down and just take blue for free. And being a blue-reliant champion like Cassiopeia is for the early mid-game, losing that blue is going to actually make her fall behind Rise even more after giving up that kill. Because I feel like Cassiopeia should be able to beat Rise, but with Rise getting blue and Cassiopeia not getting blue and also picking up that early kill, Cassiopeia is going to have a harder time in lane.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of interesting. You know, Cassiopeia should have a really easy lane against Rise normally, I would say. You know, just because she has the excellent range where if Rise is trying to be aggressive, she can just kite fine. You know, right now we see her zoning Rise, but if Rise, like you said, does get an early advantage where he can start bullying her, you know, movement speed would be key to avoid, you know, those skill shots.
So here's a Wraith steal that I was talking about. She can just go over Q. Oh, she's actually going up for the gank up top.
Yeah.
There's actually a really, really easy gank. As long as Cassiopeia lands her R and Rumble lands her R, there's no way for Riven to live this.
And Darien actually already taking a little bit of damage from Rumble here. They should be probably going in any second now, maybe waiting for Darien to use one of his dash or something. Cassiopeia, here he comes, coming in. Paradoxical, going to get the W, going to throw off the R, gets the slow. There's the ultimate from Wild Turtle. They're chasing down, but the Ignite goes off, and Darien will flash away. So, you know, all those ultimates gone, and Riven is going to be okay, but it will allow Wild Turtle some time to gain some more XP, and Riven, of course, going to be missing some in that lane.
So the thing with that gank is if Cassiopeia was able to land the stun on Riven, that would have been a guaranteed kill. But because it was only a slow, he's able to flash during the slow and then just continue to get away. Because with the entire stun duration, landing it inside of Rumble ult, that would have pushed the damage enough to kill Riven. So I think the better way to do that gank, which would have wasted actually a lot of time, would be you wait for Riven to actually engage on Rumble,
right, and
then you go in for the counter gank. Because when someone just used their spell to close a gap on, say, another champion, they're not going to have it to get away. So I think that was
and that's what it seemed. That's kind of what it seemed like they were doing at first. Is that they were kind of waiting. We do see actually, you know, Paradoxical coming in here to steal some of those creeps, but it seemed like they were kind of waiting for Riven to maybe dash in, try and get some harass onto Rumble or something, so that they could, you know, follow up with an easier gank.
That's exactly what Cassiopeia was, but what she was weighing in her mind is, okay, mid is actually pushing back to my tower. If I wait too long, I'm going to lose out on CS. So it's a decision. Do I wait long enough for this potential kill, or should I just jump the gun so I can go back and farm mid? So it was basically the decision she has to make, and whether it was the right choice or not, you can't really tell because, you know, she did miss out on the gank, and if she did wait, it wasn't guaranteed that she's gonna get the kill anyways.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting there, you know, Darien or Alexich flashing away from Cassiopeia. She was harassing him down, getting pretty low. I don't know if he was concerned, you know, about Cassiopeia's ultimate, or maybe just that you know, if he allowed himself to stick around and with any latency issues,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to give up an early kill just from, you know, I guess being kind of lazy
Yeah.
with that flash. And actually, Wild Turtle is going to run right into Darien here, who's going to be able to get off some harass, and he's actually going to move right out of that ultimate from Rumble. We do have the Shen ultimate, though, and with the slow, Shen's going to be able to taunt. He does have the red buff, so Darien is going to go down.
That was a
And
really, really good counter gank.
that's pretty tough. That's, I mean, that's kind of what, you know, Shen provides to your
That was a
team.
really, really tough choice by Riven. Had he gotten another auto attack off and then used his ultimate, he probably would have been able to kill Rumble. And he kind of just baited himself. I think for a moment it skipped his mind that Mono had Shen, and Shen's ult was up. So it was just bad timing to go so aggressive.
And we do see Diamonds here. Great ward coverage all up and down the river. You know, they definitely don't want to allow Mono to, I don't know, get any easy advantages or get any good ganks. Here he is coming on Paradoxical, but Paradoxical throwing off a ton of damage onto Alex Ich. Will be able to pick up this kill. There's the shield from Lee Sin. He's got to get out of there. Paradoxical very close to going down, and actually with the kick from Lee Sin, will be able to pick up Paradoxical underneath that tower from the tower damage, but he, of course, does go down. So a 2-for-1 exchange. And in the meantime, Darien is actually chasing down Wild Turtle, going to back
my
away for a
God.
second there.
Oh man, Paradoxo just went lol.
Yeah.
Oh man, they should show each other a little bit more respect, but I can see how they would be a little bit antsy after that.
I don't know. I don't know. Shen was kind of sitting there waiting for the counter gank, and that's what we've been seeing from Shen so far. He has the ultimate for the counter engage, and then you know, just keeping a good eye on where Lee Sin is. We do see excellent ward coverage from them as well. Genja chasing down Pixel here, getting some good damage on both him and Nothing Real. So, you know, with that excellent range, they are actually doing pretty well in this lane, though it would seem that Mono probably would normally be at an advantage. But I guess with the level 6, he does have that excellent range poke. And they're trying to steal this blue again, but Shen's going to stop him. Nintendude actually missing the taunt. Darien's going to get some damage off and back off, but Cassiopeia does get her blue buff. So, you know, there's
at
the important
this
thing.
point in the game, I felt like since Rise wasn't able to push the advantage when he had blue buff and actually gave it up in the process, I feel like he's just going to fall more and more behind. The thing with Cassiopeia right now is she is really, really bursty. And against Rise, who depends on living long enough where he can lifesteal back a good chunk of his HP, if he dies before he can steal some of that life back, Cassiopeia is going to have a bigger advantage. And that looks like that's how things are going to be going. Because Cassiopeia is going to be able to instantly gib her Wraith every time, gib his Wraith if she so chooses to. And so she's just, her damage is just going to go through the roof at this point.
Yeah, and with the range advantage, it will be difficult for Rise. I guess that's the big thing. You know, Mono just at a slight advantage right now, but because their team, you know, is, I don't know, they have that easy kind of AoE fight team that will be very aggressive through this mid game. I don't know, the onus is kind of on M5 for whether or not they're tanky enough, and being behind gold is definitely not what you want when you have that kind of bruiser comp that's trying to sustain through the fights.
Like, what happens is, if you're running like a heavy tank line that's not tanky enough, against a Cassiopeia, she's going to be able to blow you all up at the same time. And I feel like that's how the game's going right now. Because if you look at it, Cassiopeia's got 2 kills and 119 CS. She's more CS than the entire, like anyone at MF5, and she's got 2 kills. So with that advantage, she's going to be able to push it further. And I feel like even with Riven winning top at this point, slightly, I think it's 116 to 92.
Yeah, slight advantage.
He's going to start falling off as soon as they start grouping up, because I feel like with the double will, when Cassiopeia does get it, Rumble's going to lifesteal too much for anybody to be effective.
And there's the exhaust from Rumble, and then the Shen taunt. He is going to flash and then taunt him there. Darien going to flash away. He's leaving under this tower. Cassiopeia was also coming up for that gank, so he's going to be okay. But this actually is giving M5 a 4v3 potentially, or even a 4v2 at Dragon. So they are going to try and take this quickly. Cassiopeia is coming down. that would be an excellent opportunity. She actually recognizes that, Gosu Pepper was probably sitting in that brush there, chasing him down, getting off a lot of damage. They are able to take the dragon, and then Rise chasing down Paradoxical, getting a lot of damage, but Alex Ich is going to go down to the Cassiopeia damage, and Genja has some potential, but he has to get out of there because Rumble is coming down as well as Shen. They did get their dragon. They need to clear, and we do have the ult from Lee Sin still if he gets a good kicking angle to, kind of disengage, but they're going to get out anyway. So catching up a little bit in gold.
That's actually a really, really good fight for M5 because what happens is not just the jungler from top came down, Rumble came down too. And because Rumble came down too, he's not farming top. So that's going to allow Darien to just extend his gap in terms of farm. He got gold from Dragon and he's getting gold from the tower and the creep that's coming in lane. So when he comes back, he's going to be actually a lot more farmed than Rumble. So the next time he buys, which is probably within the next 10-15 seconds, he's going to come back in lane and he's going to be able to pressure Rumble a lot harder.
Yeah, and he already getting that BF sword. He got it on his first, ride back. So going pretty tanky already, probably going for a Bloodthirster. He's actually going to get a lot of damage off on the Wild Turtle here. The key is going to be whether or not he can dodge that ultimate. It's just coming back up for Rumble. It just came back up. He doesn't have an exhaust or anything up. So we do have the ultimate going down. The Ignite from Darien.
Oh my god.
Darien very close to going down. He does have the shield, though, and at low HP, Riven generally is pretty good, but Wild Turtle chasing him down with the, burning there. I don't know what you call it.
So that was actually a really, really good play by Rumble. Okay, had he ran in a straight line, that would have allowed Riven to hit his ultimate. So he actually took a lot more extra damage than he needed to just from the auto attack and the Qs. But he exchanged that for dodging the ultimate, which is so much more important in terms of damage dealing potential. So he dodged enough that he actually survived that, and he could have potentially turned around for the kill. The moment he dodged that ultimate, if he just backed up slightly enough and turned on his Q, he probably would have killed Riven. And had he done that, that would have been an amazing play.
Yeah. But we do see a Bloodthirster onto Riven now, so that is going to be a very difficult lane. Genja did go for that early Wriggles and, Doran's build, so that did help him with lane sustain against the aggressive comp that Graves has. But, he will have a lot of damage, but I'm not sure that it really stacks up against, like, an Infinity Edge from Graves. And then, I don't know, it should be interesting to see. Cog definitely has the range advantage in these fights. How do you think these kind of mid-game fights are going to be carrying forth with,
I feel like
the different
the
comps?
mid-game fight, if Mono plays it right, I feel like they're going to win every single fight just because, the next item Cassiopeia is going to buy is going to be a Will of the Ancients, right? She's got the parts for it. She's not going to want to buy the Blasting Wand because she would have to, or she had to finish the Death Cap completely at this point if she's going to buy anything else. So she's going to finish the Will. With the double Will, the next Dragon fight, both Rumble and Cassiopeia is going to have a double Will in terms of lifesteal. So
oh, wow, and Cassiopeia trying to get the slow on Diamonds is going to steal that red buff with her ultimate. She is chasing him down now, and Riven coming in. We have a full fight here. M5 has got to get out of there because it is a 4v3 advantage. In the meantime, Rise actually chasing down Wild Turtle, gets off a lot of damage. There is the ultimate from Wild Turtle and the exhaust, so Alex Ich is not going to be able to get out of there. We do have the ultimate from Graves, going to be able to pick up that kill.
That was actually a really, really good fight for Mono because what happened is there's 5 of them there. It's 5v4, and since everybody's chasing everybody else, everybody's trying to, oh, there's a Baron fight right here.
Wow. And so with that fight, one for Mono, knowing that Cog is bottom, they are going to try and go after this Baron, or at the very least bait it in, and Gosu Pepper does go down. We do have everyone's kind of low for Mono, so I expect they're probably just going to back off. That Baron is at about half.
It's worth it for Mono to do that because they baited somebody and they got an extra kill. So had they knew that Cog was going to stay bottom, they probably would just stuck around and try and finish Baron. Even with the risk of Lee Sin potentially stealing it, because Lee Sin's got the highest Dragon steal potential just because with his resonating strike he's able to do about 1,000 damage bursts with his smite. So with Cog coming up and poking, they didn't want to risk the steal and potentially throwing the game right there.
Well, and if not only if Lee Sin gets the steal, but if everyone's low and Cog's able to just clean sweep, pick up a couple of kills, but he's actually going to take a lot of damage from nothing real here. The slow will get him out of there. But there's that Infinity Edge just kind of going to work at this point in the game. We do have Shen's pretty tanky. Riven doesn't really have that much tanking potential so far. I recognize they're not, looking to just run head-on into Mono's AoE damage yet. Rise, just now finishing his Banshee's Veil. But how do you think M5 is going to be able to kind of hold out this game and not allow Mono to continue pressuring objectives?
I feel like late game wise, Mono's got a stronger late game. So in order for M5 to actually win this, Mono has to actually mess up, or M5 has to pull a big enough early game advantage for them to win, because it's going to come to a point where each person on Mono is going to be able to hit R and just completely like decimate M5.
Right.
Just because that's the type of comp that they have.
Oh, Gosu Pepper out of position here. We don't get the taunt from Nintendo, but they are in position to potentially pressure that Baron once again. I guess it'll be really key for whether or not Cog can, poke them down some. Seemed like they were kind of out of position, maybe going to get caught there for a second, but the movement speed from Nunu did allow them to, kind of get out of there. And that's one thing. I mean, the Blood Boil will provide excellent damage increase for Cog as the game progresses, but does give them a little bit of a disengage. We've got, with Rumble and Cassiopeia, we've got, decent initiation, but if they can't close the gap, then, they maybe can't chase them down. But that's really not an issue because Mono can just pressure objectives and force team fights that way.
The way I feel the game is going is Cog needs to be doing a lot of damage to win these team fights. There's no real pressure from Mono to chase down Cog just because Cog has no real damage. All he has is a Zeal and a Wriggles. That's not a lot of damage. And so I feel like all Mono really has to do is just kill the champion that's in front of him. Cog's just not at that point where he can just right-click everybody and just kill them from the back. So, Mono's not forced to go out of position to make a play to take out Cog. They can just kill, if Lee Sin's here, I'm going to kill Lee Sin. Oh, Riven's here, let's kill Riven. And so they're not forced to walk through anything to deal damage.
Right.
They're actually able to just completely kill M5's front line as they come.
They are going to be pressuring this Dragon now. It should be interesting to see whether M5 can defend it. They probably could actually just go and push mid, since I don't know that there's much potential, like you said, for them to engage and steal this Dragon. But they are actually, it does seem they're coming in. We do have the Q from Lee Sin and the flash. They're jumping right onto Paradoxical, but with the heal and then the Janna ult, she's going to be perfectly fine. There's the kick and Ghosty Pepper throwing off his ultimate. We did have Paradoxical flashing over that wall. Cog is dealing a lot of damage, is going to be safe, but he has to flash away. And Riven chasing down a couple of people here is going to pick up one kill, going to be able to potentially pick up Pixel here. In the meantime, we do have Cog chasing down Wild Turtle, so he's going to be able to potentially get that kill with the slow from Nunu. And Riven is being chased back into Cassiopeia, is going to go down to Paradoxical. And Pixel actually going down from Genja there.
I felt like Pixel, all you had to do is after Riven dies, run right back to your team. You don't need to go back out to help pick up another kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was actually a really, really good fight for M5. What happened was Cassiopeia had to decide, do I go and help Rumble pick up the kill on Cog?
Genja kiting Paradoxical a little bit. He's going to go down. If he can get in range, he could pick up that kill on Cass. Yes, he does get it.
That was not worth it to turn back and kill that creep. I felt like Cassiopeia could have gotten out of range and not died to Cog, so it was a little misjudgment on her part. All he needed to do is just keep on walking. Just keep on walking.
I'm just surprised, how well M5 kind of kited the AoE damage from Mono in that last fight, because in my mind they were like running head on into him and it's like you're going to explode. But because they kind of split as a team, you saw that Rise actually flashed up towards like the top of that river lane to get in on Cassiopeia. They weren't all clumped together. They were spread out all across the river, which allowed them to survive through those early ults and then win the later fight.
I felt like where Mono messed up was they didn't recognize that Cog is not really a threat in that fight. He didn't really have PD yet. He's just still at Zeals and Wriggles. That's not a lot of damage. All Rumble had to do was just close on in all the melees, kill them first, then turn on Cog. I'd probably just have Shen at most tank Cog, because he's able to do that at this point.
And M5 is actually going to be able to pick up another tower, so that is getting him back in this game. They're down to just hardly any disadvantage at all, but we have Diamondez is going to go down to Paradoxical here, trying to steal that blue again, but Cassiopeia is going to be able to get the kill. And as long as they can get out of there, they're going to be okay. But Rumble throws down the ultimate. Shen's pretty low, but Alex Ich is going to go down. And now there's the potential for this Baron, but Nintendude is low. He probably can't go with his team. His ult will be up in about 20 seconds if he gets out of there, just recalls. Genja going to be dealing some good damage to Nothing Real. Gosu Pepper just kind of trying to stall. There's the ultimate. Nothing Real almost going down, but flashes away. Darian coming in with the ultimate, almost picking him up, and Janna's just going to use her ultimate for a little bit of a heal here. But I think they've probably stopped this Baron. It's actually below half, so they're still going for it. We do have excellent poke from Genja. Darian trying to get in, but he's going to have to back off because he's low.
The Baron
and Baron, wow. So Darian actually coming in, gets the stun, but then the flamethrower from Wild Turtle is going to be able to pick up the Riven kill. Genja going to try and pick up another kill. He's going to go down as well, and they're going to have to back out of there. So, you know, a one fight for Mono, but, you know, M5 was able to prevent that Baron, which would have been just devastating.
I felt like that fight was really, really good for Mono because what happened was, you know, they have a double will and a blue buff on Cassiopeia. What that means is they can probably just tank Baron and just heal off of him just because there's just so much spell steal from Cassiopeia and Rumble. So that's what they did for actually a long part of that fight, and it pressured M5 to walk up and put them in a compromising position. And another thing is when Graves died, there was no damage done on him from M5, so it was just an execute. He didn't really lose anything. He got a blue pill back to base, and he lost 20 seconds.
And it all started off with that Lee Sin going down, trying to get the blue, being a little bit over-aggressive, you know, trying to prevent that blue. They were down only like 0.3, you know, or 300 gold at that time as a team, so they had completely gotten rid of the gap. Now they're down again by a couple thousand, and we do have Mono once again pressuring this Baron because they recognize if they can get M5 to all group up, then they do have that excellent, you know, control, and they want to make sure that they use it before the game allows M5 to get back in and take any advantage. There's the Baron. They're able to pick it up. Gosu Pepper throws off his ultimate, so he's going to get some damage, but Mono with the Baron now and how strong their team is, M5 just not in position to contest.
Like the way Mono has their team comp set up is, it's a very, very easy team comp. They have to actually really mess up really hard to lose a team fight, and it's in M5's hands to make the right play to actually play against this type of team comp. This actually isn't the first time they played this exact same team comp. If anyone was watching TSM, not exact team comp.
Mono's just going to drop through this tower. Oh, it's almost the exact same for game 3.
With the exception of Shen, which is which is a really strong champion in this patch. So.
And we did see, you know, Shen with the, you know, kind of counter ganks earlier. Riven was probably going to pick up a kill onto Rumble, and then Shen coming in, getting the kill there. Yeah.
So, like, moving forward, like, one thing you got to look out for is, you know, now you start taking notes. What does Mono like to run? They like to run Graves Janna bottom. They like to run Rumble Cassio as, you know, AoE damage. So this is just a heavy AoE damage team that they have. And
I don't know, we do have the Baron. They have the inhibitor. They are extremely far ahead. We'll see whether they can get any good fights. We do have some good poke going on to Paradoxical here, but Genja is completely out of mana, so he's going to have to go back to Fountain for a second. Mono actually not taking advantage of that. They're going to back off. Don't want it to stall out at the tower.
Yeah, the reason why they're backing up is they have a lot of gold. They killed Baron, they took mid and Hib, and they got kills. So the gold count on Mono is actually relatively high right now.
But actually, because Mono is looking to recall here, they aren't in position to kind of defend this dragon if M5 comes down for it. We do have Lee Sin and Riven kind of peeking around, and they actually will take it. So that'll be a nice little boon to their gold there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It should be kind of interesting to see how it goes forward. I wouldn't think that M5 could really deal with the nasty AoE comp that Mono has, but we've seen a lot of these fights have been going pretty well. M5, you know, able to kite some of the damage and just have that kind of long sustain in those team engagements.
The way I feel is M5 has a lot of like bruiser and just upfront champions that just doesn't deal well against Cassio and Rumble, especially those two together. And so I see like feeling it's a little early.
Oh, the taunt, and Darian should be able to get out of there, but there's the ultimate to slow her down. We do have the flash. Gosu Pepper is going to go down, though, coming in to try and help out Darian. That's interesting, but I don't know. I'm not really sure what M5 can do right now. Like you've been saying, Mono just really in control of this game at this point. They are going to come up here and try and poke down this tower some. And Graves, nothing real, has just a ton of tower damage to just poke it down. Alex Itch getting some damage, but Rumble's not really taking anything. There's the taunt from Shen onto Nintendo. We do have Lee Sin kicking Shen back, going to try and disengage, but Kog isn't dealing any damage in this fight. If they can get out of there, they'll be okay, but actually Graves flashing in is able to pick up the kill onto Kog, and then actually Rise goes down as well. There's Riven. This is GG. We do have a win for Mono eSports, able to pick up their first win against M5, the European powerhouse. I would definitely expect some of these champs are going to be banned next game, though. I mean, we were talking about Cassiopeia and, how her AoE and everything, how strong
really
it is.
Good against the type of team comp that M5 likes to run.
And also, you have to consider, M5, they banned out 2 really aggressive junglers, but there's just so many strong early, junglers in this game that I don't know that you can't ban them all. So, do you think that they'll maybe, instead of banning like Rammus and Skarner, just try and work for better map control and ban out those AoEs of Cass and Rumble that Mono eSports clearly loves?
I feel like moving into game 2, they'll have a better understanding on what Mono likes to run. So, like for me personally, I know that Mono will not run Rammus or Skarner. It's just not part of their team comp. They might, but I feel like they're just not familiar with them. And so Shen right now is just in a really, really good position. If they're going to ban, they would either ban Cassio or they'd ban Shen instead of Rammus, Skarner. Had the ban been a little bit different, it could have been a lot better. Because I feel like Cassio actually countered their team a lot better in general than a Rammus or a Skarner would have. And especially for a team that doesn't use those champions. I don't think M5 knows that, but moving forward, they might know a little bit more.
And also, Rumble did provide them with that great AoE damage in the fights, but Riven would have pretty much dominated that lane against Rumble. She did a really excellent job top if it wasn't for the Shen that one kill early on. So you can have wards to defend against like a Rammus or a Skarner. You can't have wards to defend against the Shen there.
Yeah.
So, instead of like having to ban Rumble, like you said, if they ban Cassiopeia, allow Rumble to stay in potentially, and then have just Riven, hopefully control that lane.
And I feel like Cassiopeia is just really, really strong champion, especially against melee. Because if you think about it, if a team is running multiple melee champion bruisers at Zergs, what happens is they want a Zerg at the same time. Otherwise, they're going to die one at a time. So when you Zerg at the same time, you're moving forwards. What you don't want to do against a Cassiopeia is be moving forward in a group, right? You're moving forward in a group, she's going to be able to completely stun everybody that's in front of her, and she's able to land her slow and AoE damage on everybody immediately after. And that's just a lot of damage. She does a lot of AoE team damage if you're clump, and she does a lot of single damage with her Twin Fang. And so I felt like that game, had they banned Cassiopeia, it could have very well been very different.
Well, we'll have to see how M5 changes coming into game number 2. Once again, I am the Red Baron. This is Dan Din. He's joining us here today along with Chowster. And, check us out, youtube.com/IPLLOL for League of Legends action. We will be back shortly after this commercial break with M5 versus Mono. Once again, if you have any cool highlights or replays, send them in, IPLLOLreplays@gmail.com. These are the qualifiers for IPL4, which is in Las Vegas. You can buy tickets now, tickets.ign.com, and it's going to be April 6th through 8th. So definitely looking forward to it. Dan, thank you. It was a pleasure. Hat Person's going to be coming in a second.
All right.
So we'll be back shortly with M5 versus Mono.
Let's go.